لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So we return to chapter number 8, which is the chapter that Imam al-Musannif rahimahullah ta'ala has entitled Babu ma ja'a fi ar-ruqa wa at-tama'im. The chapter regarding what has been said, or what has been said regarding ar-ruqa, incantations, supplications for healing, and at-tama'im, talismans or amulets. And if you guys remember yesterday, we talked about how the Imam did not make an unequivocal statement regarding ar-ruqa being from a shirk or a tama'im being from a shirk, because why? There is some tafsil. There are certain determining factors whether they would fall into that category or not. So that's why he entitled the chapter the way that he did, to indicate that there is something to be said about these two. Sometimes they can be shirk and sometimes they are not a shirk. Before we mention some of the nusus that he cited, I want to remind everybody of qa'idat al-asbab, because this chapter is related to that concept. The concept of, or this maxim, that anytime we assume, we believe that something is a cause for something else, you create a cause and effect relationship between two things. Particularly the effect being protection from harm or the lifting of an affliction. That if we can't support that with the Sharia, we can't support it with Allah's word or the words of His Prophet or the agreement of the scholars, and we can't support it with a tajriba al-zahir al-mubashir, we can't support it with empirical data, right? Tylenol treats fever, it treats headaches. Why? There's what? All these clinical trials and all this anecdotal data to support it, where it becomes what? Immutable fact. You guys see that? If we don't have that, and on top of that, there's no what? There's no connection between a sabab wal musabbab. There's no connection between the cause and the what? And the object it affects. Because who is the only one who can exact an effect on an object without actually what? Touching it or contacting it? Who can do that? Who can speak something into existence? Only Allah. I can't say, open sesame, and the door does what? It opens. I have to go over there and do what? I have to physically touch the door and push it open. Okay, so we just want to make sure we understand that, because this chapter is related to that maxim, right? So he says, rahimahullah ta'ala, he said, وفي الصحيح عن أبو بشير الأنصاري أنه كان مع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم في بعض أسفاره فأرسل رسولا أن لا يبقين في رقبة بعير قلادة من وتر أو قلادة إلا قطعت. He said, I was in the company, or we were in the company of Allah's Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam on one of his journeys, on one of his expeditions. And Allah's Messenger sent someone to cry out and proclaim in the caravan, there should not remain any necklace of watar, or any kind of necklace around the necks of camels, except that it should be cut off. Now the word he used in the hadith is watar. Watar basically is the innards or the intestines of cattle that they used to take out and dry and turn into what? A necklace. Something that they would hang around the necks of animals, believing that hanging this necklace of intestines around an animal would protect it from al-ayn, protect it from the evil eye. So basically the Prophet says, knowing that this practice is from what? Jahiliyyah. And the belief that this watar, right, these intestines when dried and hung around the neck of an animal, can protect that animal from the evil eye, making what? It a cause for an effect, creating a cause and effect relationship. You guys see that? Between what? Al-watar and what? Al-ayn. You guys see that? So the Prophet, knowing that this was the practice, when he saw that, he said there should not remain a necklace of watar around the neck of any animal except that is what? It is cut off. You guys see that? Okay? So why is the Prophet telling them to cut it off? Because this watr is, as we said, sababun wahmi. It is a fallacious, erroneous cause for an effect. You guys see that? ممتاز. طيب ثم بعد ذلك he says عن ابن مسعود رضي الله عنه أنه سمع رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول إن الرقى والتمائم والتولة شرك. He said he heard Ibn Mas'ud, he said he heard Allah's Messenger saying الرقى والتمائم and التولة are all forms of shirk. طيب الرقى, as you remember, last time we said الرقى are two types. الرقية المشروعة, the supplications that we make to protect ourselves which have been legislated. And we said they have three conditions. The first condition is it's either from kalamullah, from the words of Allah, al-Fatiha, Ayatul Kursi, or something the Messenger taught us, sallallahu, or it's from asma'illah, from the names of Allah, o sifatihi. That's the first one. That's the first check box you have to check. Second one, an yakun min lughat al-Arab, aw mimma yufham ma'nah. It has to either be from the language of the Arabs, because it's the language of what? Revelation. Or a language that the person who's using it understands. The third one is we have to believe that this ruqyah, it heals by Allah's will, not independent of Allah's will. You guys see that? So when the Prophet says, ar-ruqyah shirk, is he talking about this ruqyah that checks these three boxes? No, he's talking about the one that doesn't check those boxes. You guys see that? Ar-ruqyah, nobody knows what it means. It's some weird, weird symbols. And somebody says, hey, just say these words. You don't know what the words mean, and this will heal you. We call that ruqyah ghair mashru'a, and it could be what? Shirkiyah. Also, a ruqyah that has what? Words in it that are illegal, haram, or words that are clearly shirk. You guys see that? That's what the Prophet saw when he says ar-ruqyah, shirk. Then he says at-tiwala. At-tama'im. These tama'im that people hang, amulets and charms, something somebody puts around their neck. Could be something they hang around what? A bracelet they put on. They believe that it will protect them from al-ayn. You guys see that? That's also shirk. The only exception, what if it were from the Quran? And he's going to talk about that shortly. He's going to talk about the exception to the rule. The only place where there's some difference of opinion is if the tamima was from the Quran. Person hangs Ayatul Kursi around his neck. Takes a necklace and puts Ayatul Kursi at the very end of it. You guys see that? Could he do that or not? The scholars won't. There's a debate about that. But when he says a tama'im, he's talking about a tama'im min ghair al-Quran. The tama'im that are not from the Quran at all. You guys see that? No matter what it is. Right? Person hangs a little horseshoe. Person hangs a little rabbit's foot. Person hangs that eye. You guys know the eye, right? They hang the eye. You see people doing it. They hang the hand of what? The hand of Fatima. And some will say the hand of Hamza. Y'all know what I'm talking about? You see people walking here. They got bling on. It's like it looks blinged out, but it's what? The hand of Fatima. Y'all see that? The Prophet is saying, ar-ruqa wa tama'im, anything you hang with the intention of protecting yourself is what? Is shirk. Okay? Then he says, at-tiwala. At-tiwala, as the Imam is going to explain, it's a type of magic. Something that people believe that you take this thing, you can put some type of spell on it, you take it, and it's a type of magic that people use to do what? To make sure that their relationship with their spouse is what? Is solid. They believe that this can basically solidify their relationship or cement their relationship with their spouse. So if they think that their spouse is gonna step out on them, then they do what? They seek this tiwala. And this tiwala, this magic charm, will do what? It will make their wife or their husband do what? Come close to them and cement their relationship. Y'all see that? The Prophet said these are all forms of shirk. What do they all have in common? They're asbab wahmiyah. They're all fallacious causes for a certain effect. I'll take this charm and my wife won't step out. I'll wear this necklace and no harm will come to me. I'll make this ruqyah, which is not from ar-ruqyah al-shar'iyya or ar-ruqa al-mashru'a. I'll make this ruqyah and I'll be protected from this, or I'll be healed from that. You guys see that? So this is what the Prophet is saying in that hadith. We'll stop there. the next part of the chapter, he's going to start expanding on the meanings of these different words and the difference of opinion. So he's going to talk about tama'im and how it's shirk, why it's shirk, and then what's the exception to the rule, a tama'im in the Quran, and what the scholars said about it and what's the correct view. Then he's going to talk about a tiwala, and then finally a ruqya, and then he's going to finish with a few other hadith to drive home the point that there's a detailed, nuanced discussion that has to be had when it comes to a ruqya with tama'im. Some ruqa are shirkiyah, and some tama'im are shirkiyah. We need to understand the difference of the two and avoid. But in general, the rule when it comes to what? A tama'im is that they're what? From a shirk. The only exception is from the Quran. A ruqya, the general rule is what? It's permissible as long as what? As we check the three boxes. Y'all see that? And with that, brothers and sisters, Tafadhal Muhammad.
Question. So let's just say you wear any kind of necklace. That's okay. Just mention.
That's a very good question. Who's going to answer that for us? Muhammad said, suppose I wear a necklace. You guys see, it's coming back. There was a period where necklaces were not in for men, but it's coming back now. And everybody's wearing a necklace now. Y'all see that? People are wearing necklaces. So if a Muslim man wore a necklace of silver, wore a necklace of platinum, because Muslims can't wear gold, but they could wear what? Another precious metal, like platinum. Person had a platinum necklace, Muslim, male or female. Would that be permissible or impermissible? Would that be shirk or would it not be shirk?
Intention.
Ahsan, it depends on what the intention. Because even if you look at the previous, chapter, remember what we said? He said, من الشرك لبس الحلقة والخيط ونحوهما لدفع البلاء أو لرفعه. He said it's shirk when a person wears some type of what? String or band or twine. And they wear it with the intention of what? Preventing some harm or relieving some affliction. If they do it with that intention, it becomes what? Shirk. What if a person wore it for zina? They wore it for fashion. That's perfectly fine. The intention is what's going to determine it. And who knows the intention? Allah. Ahsan.
But now, like, I went to stores that had like the hand of Fatima. Some of them, Allah, they might just have it for just zina.
But the hand of Fatima is a tamima. And as we're going to see, the Prophet said, "Man ta'allaqa tamimatan faqad ashrak." Whoever wears a talisman has committed shirk. You see that? So the thing about the hand of Fatima is it is a talisman. That's different from a person wearing, for example, a teardrop. And the teardrop's it's just zina. You see what I'm saying? But the hand of Fatima is meant to be a tamima. It's meant to be a source of protection. And if you notice, the Prophet didn't mention what a person's niyyah. He just said, "Man ta'allaqa tamimatan faqad ashrak." As we're going to see, whoever wears an amulet has committed shirk. It could be major shirk, it could be minor shirk. It's going to depend on what? Certain factors. So if it's a tamima, we avoid it completely. You see what I'm saying? Person might hang a rabbit's foot on their belt, just thinking, I think this is cute. You see what I'm saying? No, because it's a rabbit's foot, because it's known to be a tamima, stay away from that altogether. Make sense?
And I got distracted with the medicine. We didn't mention the medicine part.
Hey.
You said something about Tylenol?
Yeah, we said basically that when it comes to al-asbab, when it comes to the causes, a cause will only be accepted as an acceptable cause if the Sharia confirms it, Allah said or His Messenger said, or it's something agreed upon by the scholars, or if we have empirical data, or even if we have anecdotal data that reaches the point of immutable fact. I gave the example of what? Tylenol. Tylenol does what? It calms fevers. And it calms headaches. We know it from what? From practice. When you get a headache, you take some Tylenol and 30 minutes, an hour later, you feel what? You feel better. You have a little baby, you give them children's Tylenol. They got a high fever, 104. Give them Tylenol. After 30 minutes, an hour, that fever goes down. It's something, there's empirical data on it, and there's anecdotal data. We've experienced it. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I just gave that as an example. That's it.
Okay.
Tafadhal, Elijah.
So, like the jewelry thing, right? I had one the other day, and I was like, hey, you got that Muslim? It's fashion. To me, it's fashion, you know what I'm saying? And then But I thought about like what they were saying, you know, like right now I'm not learning or whatnot, but even take things a step further, like this never resonated with me, you know what I'm saying? But I did see the fad when I was a teenager, and that's tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
So I know according to Quran, you know, tattoos are wrong, but I just want to get like an expansion on that.
Okay, not tonight. Not tonight. And tattoos are not mentioned in the Quran, but they're mentioned in the Hadith. They're mentioned in the Hadith. But you're right. Muslims don't do tattoos, male or female. But the discussion on that will have to wait till another time because we try to make this relatively short. You had something, Akhi? No? All right. Atfadal.
Is that physical or?
It could be a physical charm. It could be something that somebody writes and you kind of keep it on your person, or you put it somewhere. You bury it. It could be, but it's something basically. It's a spell that they cast.
Okay.
What is the vehicle, the means that could be different from one witch, one sorcerer to another. Okay. And with that, we encourage the brothers online and sisters online to hit that bell to get notifications. And hit that subscribe button to subscribe and be with us every night, inshallah ta'ala. And we thank all those who came out tonight and were with us in person. And as always, we ask Allah to make us from those who listen to the talk and follow the best of it.